If you were to choose just one single stretch to do before any form of exercise, like a run, a row, a cycling session, a weightlifting training session, anything, what is one warm-up stretch that you can do that takes about 30 seconds that's going to make a world of improvement to your performance? Let's talk about it. What's up guys, Austin back with another video, and in today's video I want to talk with you about one stretch that you should be doing before any of your workouts that I think is going to make a world of difference, not only to help you feel more ready to exercise, but also keep you injury free. Let's face it, no one likes to stretch. We don't want to warm up. We just want to kind of get to the gym, do the thing, and then go. So if we're already inclined to not warm up and stretch, why would you follow a list of, 30 minutes of stretches to do before your workout if you're just not going to do them at all? I'm going to give you one stretch, just one thing to do before your workout that I think is going to make a big difference. And this stretch will take 30 seconds max, and you're going to feel so good, so warm, so ready to bring it. You're not going to regret it. So with this stretch, before we get into it, I just want to talk about the muscle groups that we're going to be working with this stretch and why I feel like this is the most important stretch for you to do. This stretch is going to target your hamstrings and your hip flexors, two muscle groups that we use constantly throughout the day and through a lot of different forms of exercise that we do. Now your hamstrings, the main function of that is to bend your leg at the knee and kick your foot behind you. What do you do thousands of times a day, day after day, week after week, month after month, millions of times a year? Well, you walk, you step, you move, you run. Anything where your body is propelling yourself forward by moving your feet, you are constantly using your hamstrings. They are constantly being contracted. And with your hip flexors, let's not even get started on those. In today's day and age, we are sitting a lot. Whether you are sitting and driving, sitting and texting, sitting and watching TV, or sitting at your 8-hour job every single day, your hip flexors are constantly being in this contracted position. And so with our hamstrings and hip flexors arguably being some of the most used muscle groups in our body, we need to find a dynamic way to stretch out that muscle group. And when I say dynamic, I'm talking different than sort of the old school, just sort of stand and hold a stretch kind of deal. With a dynamic way of warming up a muscle group, not only are you lengthening and stretching out the muscle, but you're also directing blood flow to the area, getting your body warm and ready to exercise. But before we get into the stretch, let's talk about how it affects our rowing, for instance. Now, if we're trying to think of the best stretch to do before getting on the rowing machine, we have to think of sort of how the most common injury of rowing occurs. And what I've found is that the biggest injury that people seem to experience when rowing is getting lower back pain. Now, and this isn't having to do with your back not being stretched out enough. It actually has to do with the flexibility in your hamstrings and how you sit on your rowing machine. You see, with tight hamstrings, what this encourages your body to do is it encourages your hips to tuck underneath you. Tight hamstrings will encourage you to sit more towards on the back end of your butt. And what that does when you come up to row is it rounds out your back. And as you come and reach forward, that's what's creating the strain on your lower back. So by keeping in mind a stretch that's really going to help target stretching out and warming up the hamstrings muscles, this is going to allow you to get a more comfortable seated forward position as you row. And this is going to take your butt from underneath you to out behind you, keeping your back in a very neutral position as you come up to take the rowing stroke, instead of a tucked underneath us, rounded position. Now, if we think about how this affects us for something like running, well, it's sort of the same idea with walking. This idea of our knees bending and our feet kicking behind us, well, when you're running, that's just being done to a greater degree. That hamstring is constantly being used. And whether you're sitting on a rowing machine or sitting on a bike for a cycle class or whatever it might be, those hip flexors are constantly being used as well. And if you're doing a weight training session and you're trying to, keep your chest tall for some squats, those hip flexors, they gotta be warmed up. That's gonna help you keep your tall posture and prevent your body from leaning over as you squat down. If you've made it this far, thank you for your patience. We'll talk about the stretch now. This stretch, I call it a leg swing. And with the leg swing, what we're looking to do is kick our leg forward and swing our leg back in this sort of dynamic, continuous pendulum motion. So when we do this, I like to use a wall. You don't have to. You can use the air for balance if you want to work on your balance, but a wall will help when you first start out doing this. So the idea with this is it's our two-part exercise, which is going to stretch the hamstring at the front end and the hip flexor in the back end. So the idea here is we're getting on one foot, and this other leg, which is going to be off the ground, is going to swing forward and kick back. Swing forward and kick back. And you want to start this off fairly slow, trying to keep your legs straight in the front and as straight as you can going backwards as well. You'll feel that as you kick forward, whoop, those hamstring muscles stretch out in the front, and as you swing back behind you, as long as you're keeping your chest nice and tall, you're going to feel a good stretch across your hip flexor joint right here. And as you get more warmed up, swing a little higher, kick a little more, swing a little higher, kick a little more. Doing about 15 to 20 swings per leg, that's going to take you about 15 seconds each leg. You flip over, you do the same thing, start slow. Some of you might not even be able to straighten your leg entirely, and that's okay. The idea is to just feel the stretch at the front. Just feel it. Ooh, warm it up. Kick a little higher. And as you get better, and as you practice doing this, you're going to loosen up a lot more, and you're going to feel much more ready for each workout that you do. We are warming up, stretching out those hamstrings, those hip flexors. And guys, that is just going to set you up for a much more enjoyable workout, regardless of whatever type of exercise that you might be doing. So if there was one single stretch to do as a warm-up, if you're not going to take the time to stretch out beforehand, take at least 30 seconds to get in some leg swings. So give it a try for your next workout. Let me know what you think. Guys, if you're looking for a rowing program, a full 4-week guided rowing program with 118 pages of rowing instruction, form, drills, workouts, etc., you can check out my new book, Row Your Fat Off, if you're interested in a rowing machine guided program. Perfect for beginners. If you've just discovered the rowing machine and are looking for more, definitely check that out. But guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Let me know what you think down below, and I'll see you in the next one.